How's it going, internets? I hope you're having a lovely day. It's that time again. It's time to get into some animation, time to get that imagination all cranked up, get into some creativity, and it's time to get inspired. And today's inspiration comes from Anthony Jones. If you're not familiar with his work, check right over here. He is a gorgeous artist, a wonderfully talented concept artist, and just a phenomenal talent. He did some work, I believe, on the God of War series, among a bunch of other things, but I love his style. He has a really lovely way of blending traditional talents and skills with digital work as well. But just look at the character in here. And what I really like, that and this is something I think I've mentioned here before, is that he knows when to put detail in places and when to not. Rather than making everything hyper realistic, you can see that the stuff around the face and the chest is really rendered beautifully, and then as it kind of gets further away from where he really wants the viewer's eyes to go, it goes all the way down towards the bottom where it's just these broad kind of brush strokes here to define everything, unlike the top. And I really I have a hard time with that. I tend to want to try and perfect things at least to the best that I can do at the time, as much as I can, rather than directing the eye a little bit more, especially in any sort of illustration stuff. So I really appreciate that, and I like the way that works. I haven't quite figured out how to implement that in the way that still works with the way that I work. But it's definitely something to think about, especially with animation. I know we've talked about this kind of stuff before, where you want to direct the viewer's eye or your audience's eye, so you don't want two characters, especially in a two-character shot, or you don't want two sides of the body necessarily either competing. So if you have a moment where one character is talking to another character, you want the person who's the main focus to be the one that's doing the most. Or even you could contrast that to, if it's a really busy scene, who's the person that's doing the least. You know, you just want to drive the opposing visual stimulation towards the place that you want it. Again, just gorgeous pieces here. I really like this face. These little eyes, they're so subtle, but they're just wonderfully done. He's a phenomenal talent. Really am excited to delve more into his stuff. I really like this idea with this giant book. I thought that was a really imaginative thing. I don't know that I've seen that used in too many other places, but I like that idea of just a huge book as a prop, or as a piece of work. I thought that was a really fun idea. And again, he does this here where he has a really hyper rendered out and then bleeds into almost into the page out of that. Gorgeous stuff. But I did want to share a quote from him that I really liked, and something that kind of I've been mulling over throughout my art day so far. And that was, don't expect your studies to be amazing. If it's easy, then you're studying wrong. Oof, that's one of those ones that kind of punches me right in the gut. When I try to work for at least 8 to 12 hours a day, every day. I've been doing that for the last few years, if not more, but at least that, bare minimum. And so some days, I'm just, I guess it would be, I don't know if it's tired or it gets a little monotonous doing that kind of a workflow all the time. And I guess sometimes I fall into the category of I'm putting hours in, so that's what counts, rather than is this the best use of those hours? And that's a difficult thing. So I think that's definitely a good challenge for myself. So maybe it is for you guys too, a kind of little punch in the gut of, if you're kind of just going over the same things that you know and you're good at, you're studying wrong. It doesn't mean that you're doing the wrong thing, but if you want to improve, you have to make it rough on yourself, and you have to overcome those challenges and push harder. Been kind of back and forth with it's like if I used to run a lot. I don't run nearly as much as I should these days, but if I just do a quick jog around the block, or jog around this corner, or run around this corner, or whatever, that's fine, and I can do that. But then if I try to go 3 blocks the next day, I can feel it. I'm pushing myself to get further. So while it's good to go out and run around the block or run around a track or whatever it is, and it's good to get that exercise and good to get that blood pumping and everything. If you want to be a marathon runner, you have to. Starting out there is great, but you can't just be happy with where that is. And I guess it depends on what your goal is. But if you want to get better, you have to make it hard on yourself, and that's a tough one. So that being said, let's go ahead and get into some animation for the day. We're continuing on with our skirmish. I think we're just going to do a couple more parts on this because I want to move on. I think I've finally got an idea of how I want to do a lip sync shot with you guys. So I think that's what I'll do next. Again, I'm not 100% committing to it, but I'm pretty sure I got mulling around what clip I want to use finally. So right now for today, I think we'll just be breaking down the facial animation a little bit more. And I want to try something I don't think I've done with you guys before, and that's parenting a camera to the head, and so that we can get the face the face focused in on these characters, so we can try to break it down a little bit more. It looks a little wonky, but I think in the end it'll help us be able to break down our movement a little bit more. So we'll see. We are using Autodesk Maya 2014 for today's video. And we are using the Goon rig from the How to Cheat in Maya series. If you guys want to check out that stuff, as well as if you want to look up more of Anthony Jones's beautiful work, check out the links in the description below, as well as I always throw a link to helpful books that help me get on the right path for starting to learn this stuff, so that we can share it together. Definitely good reads down there. Alright, so let's go ahead and just save our file. Remember, it's always good to save multiple versions and to save often. And I think I'm going to start with the character on the right for today. So what I'm thinking is I'll create a locator, and I'll parent the new camera to the locator, and then the locator to the head, and then we'll view through that camera is I think the way that we're going to approach that. So we'll see if that is set up correctly if we do that. Alright, so first thing I want to do is create a locator, and again it's probably going to be over here, so let's go ahead and move that so that's pretty much right in the middle of his head here. And I'll move that over, and this will set it up. Like I said, what we want to do is track it so that we got a camera that's always on his face, so that we can play our animation and see how the facial movement's working without getting too much in the way of how the body mechanics are, so we can really just focus on that and break it down a little bit further. Again, we're not going to go 100% on 1s and 2s necessarily on this, but I definitely want to break it down a little bit more, and I feel like it's pretty not conducive to doing that without doing this step. So we're also going to create a new camera as well. Actually, let's do this. Let's just do it here. This is perspective 6. There we go. And again, we just kind of want to zoom in right on the face here. Okay, and we'll go to Window, Outliner, and I got that set up here. Locator 5's there, and then we've got camera, where's it, perspective 6, this was our one here. So we'll grab this and we'll control click the locator, we'll hit P, and that'll parent those together, and then we'll grab the locator and shift click the head, and we'll press P and parent that together. Now if we do that correctly, and we view through perspective 6, we should track this. Okay, see, and that keeps our head right in the middle. Now there's going to be some stuff that we're going to have to go around with, but it allows us to really focus in on the facial animation a little bit more. Okay, great. So that worked out pretty well. I'm just going to go ahead and save off the file one more time. All right. And again, from the camera angle that we'll probably end up sharing all this stuff with, or being our final camera, we're really not going to see any of the facial animation. But it's going to help us overall with our shot, and also it's a fun thing to do together. We don't get a chance to do too much facial animation through here. But I think that's what we'll be doing for our next shot. I'm still, like I said, mulling that over, but So let's start here. And I guess we'll just stick with the mouth first. I was thinking I wanted to do the eyes there. Let's see. Yeah. Alright. So let's set that. No, let's stick with the mouth first. Okay. Let's go a little bit down before we go up. So I'll rotate that down there. So it kind of overshoots down. And then we'll go up a little bit tighter and then back. And let's look at the lip, lower lip curl. Let's see all that. Go ahead and put that there, but we'll go. What's that? The left lip. We'll bring that down so it's a little bit later. Maybe about 2 frames later. Here. So see, it's not going all at the same time. And then I think we'll get the lower lips down a little bit. So they kind of drag a little bit. Up a little bit more, and I go back down. Now another thing I want to do here, let's look at the eye controller one more time here. Okay, grab this one, set it there. Kind of keep it forward a little bit more. Better translate X here. And bring that down. Just try and keep it seated at the bottom of the eyelid as best we can there. Fine there. And again, keep it over here and down. I'm okay with some little movements throughout there, that's fine. Just trying to keep it forward there. And bring it up a little bit more. Set that on. Again, we're not going to do a total polish pass on here, but just something so it's a little more in-depth there. Here. Let's look overall. I think we got some funky stuff in our translate X here. maybe around here we'll do a blink. That sounds good, right? Anytime we have the eyes kind of going from looking down to looking up, we tend to throw a blink in there. So again, we'll key those there. Maybe we'll get those lower lids down a little bit more, just so they kind of track a little bit better. And then we'll go ahead and close them here. And maybe we'll keep them up a little bit more there. Keep closed, another frame there. And look at our translate Y. Up and over here. Up there. Try and keep them a little bit more along the lines of where they'd be staying there. Our X, Y, and Z here. Set that. I'll delete those in between, so hopefully that path's a little bit better. See, the eyelids kind of allow for the movement to go there. This might be a little too high, so I'll bring that down a little bit more. And we might need to zoom out a little bit more here. It's fine. Now I'll need those eyes to move forward and up a little bit more, so they're still looking. Try to see where those eyes went there. Get them down here. Okay. And I think for this one we'll keep them closed. Okay. So we'll just close them up here. I want to do maybe one more frame where we can see the pupils going. And then we'll do the eyes closed here. And keep them closed for a little while. closed till about there. We can open them up a little bit sooner. And get our translate up a little bit more so we can start seeing those eyes. Or down a little bit more, let's see. So we can just barely see the pupils here. There we go. And move them over a little bit more, keep them focused forward. Okay, so set that. Move it over a little bit here. Raise it up a little bit. Try and keep them aligned with that brow there. Move it there. Alright, we kind of want to track that a little bit better. So here we'll probably bring the lower lids down a little bit more so that we can get, and let the eyes go down a little bit more here too. Just kind of have the lower lids carry the eyes down, or the upper lids carry the eyes down to the lower lid here. Said I wasn't getting too much into these eyes, but evidently I am. So that we can carry them down to that lower lid here. Let's get that jaw here. Let's go a little bit more closed. Keep it a little bit closed for a few more frames there. These ones to go forward a frame so they can start moving. Corners of the mouth can move a couple frames before the jaw gets there. So the corners can kind of lead, see them leading. And I think we'll also keep the lips closed a little bit more too, so they can kind of peel apart here. So we can have this kind of expression open there. So we've got the corners of the mouth leading. We push the lips together a little bit longer so they can hold closed, and then they pop open at that last moment. And maybe we can have the jaw open a little bit. Oh, do a little more of an overshoot here. Let's go ahead and delay cheeks a frame here too, just to kind of mix up our timing on our face a little bit more so everything's not hitting at the same time. And let's look at the eyebrows. And let's undershoot that, so we'll push them down a little bit further. Then we'll overshoot a little bit more. Come back. So see, we're keeping pretty much those same two main poses, but we're just mixing up our timing a little bit and doing a little more of an overshoot and settle there too. And let's look at those eyes, try and keep them up through that because it's a head nod, so that's why that's going. So they're fine there. Let's go ahead and lift them up here. Those are the wrong eyes. Probably are. Alright. Go here. They're fine there. Lift them up here a little bit. And then go. Let's see. And again, we'll take the eyelids. And then we'll kind of help the lower lids, help them get where we want them a little bit more. Maybe at this point we could pull those corners out a little bit more, and there a little bit more. Go ahead and set that just so there's a little more movement throughout there. Now at this point, let's have the mouth actually close in a little bit more and bring these corners in. So you kind of have a little bit of an inward movement. So it goes, it has that transition where the corners of the mouth will go in, the mouth closes up a little bit and then opens rather than just transitions from pose 1 to 2. We have a little bit of a breakdown in there. See, rather than just transitioning from one to the other, we have that little bit of a breakdown in between there. Let's also do a quick blink maybe on the eyes here. So we'll go ahead and get the lids working here, key those, and we'll do just a quick blink here. Burst them back open. And we'll look at the eyebrows again too. Grab all of those. Maybe we'll lift them up just a little bit more, so there's a little bit of movement there. Go down a little bit as the eyelids close. We'll keep them down a little bit more. And we'll keep them up a little bit longer. So we just get that little bit of a change of expression there. And again, we're just going to tweak this just so we have a little bit more movement here. Start with the corners of the mouth moving a frame sooner. And I think this expression will start with the eyes a little bit sooner here too. So we'll start those a couple of frames sooner just to kind of mix, like I said, just mixing up our timing a little bit more. And start our eyebrows frame sooner here too. And we'll undershoot this a little bit so it closes up a little bit more before it opens up. Set it at about 107, delete that, closes up, and then launches here. Let's keep it open a little bit more. And I think we're going to want to keep this open for a couple of frames here. Overshoot that closed a little bit more, so we have a little bit of bounce there. And let's look at those lips. So I'll take those lips and we'll push them open a little bit more here too. And then closed a little bit more. And back. Okay, now let's take a closer look at those lips here too. So, like that one. Overshoots, closes up and comes back. Let's keep the eyes here. They'll do a quick dart over. So I'll keep them where they're at for another frame. Try and do a little bit more of a less of a harsh switch between the eyebrows here, because it's a pretty much a one frame facial expression change, and usually I like to do a couple more frames there. Let's go back here. Again, we're getting a little bit of funky camera angles just because of how much there's rotation on the face there. Maybe we'll give it one more frame before that starts. And we'll keep that lower lid open one more frame. So let's just do kind of play through and look at, see how that face works if it's a little bit looser. Okay, a little bit better. Again, nothing perfect, but a little more expression in there. And how are we doing on time? Yeah, we got enough time to kind of do the same on the other side. Again, this isn't a full pass on the face, but it's just a little bit further breaking down that movement and making it a little bit looser than it was before. So let's do a similar thing here. We'll go ahead and create a new camera again. We'll do a similar thing on this guy over here. We'll go back to where we started. Switch our camera back to the original there. Just so I can set this up. And we'll go ahead and create a locator. Move it over, pop it in the head. Make sure we're actually where we need to be. Pretty much right in the middle of the head. And we'll go to our window outliner and pull that up here. And we'll get perspective 7. Let's make sure we got a good view of that face here. That's fine. And we'll control click the locator and press P to parent those together. We'll grab the locator, shift click the head, and we'll parent those together. And if we did that correctly, as we frame through this, it should just follow the head. Alright. So let's get started here. Keep those eyes going forward here. Translate Z there. Actually, one thing I'm going to do with this character that I didn't do on the other one is add just a little bit of bounce in the jaw for while he's running, just to loosen that up. So I'll grab this jaw and we'll go. Go ahead and drag it down a little bit here. And then up a little bit there. Down a little bit here, up a little bit there, and maybe another couple frames. Down there, up here, down there, up here. Here, down there. Let's see if I'm doing that right. I feel like I'm off a couple of frames. So drag off of this one, be our main one here. Just so we can kind of keep it uniform, so we make sure that we have that. Drag it our furthest at this point. And then on this contact will be our next one. So that'll be our furthest. And this will be our next one. This one here. next one. This one there. And that'll be our next one here. That there. And this one here. That one there. This one here. That there. And this one here. And again, it's probably too much, so we'll see. But let's go back to our actual camera that we have and just see how this feels. Alright. I think that's okay. Do a little bit less of it overall. And we'll keep it closed a little bit more. In the beginning. And we'll throw a blink in there just for good measure. Probably like right about here. Just keep those eyes going a little bit more. There. So make sure those are keyed. And we'll shoot it, exaggerate it up, and then close it down. And back up. This one a little bit more. And let's look at the cheeks here. We'll just do a real rough pass. So we'll go down there, just so we get some more looseness in the face. Keep them up. And then move them up. Down there. Up. Down there. Up. Down there. Up. Down there. And up. Down there. Up. Down there. Okay, and we'll probably tone that down a bit more. It's a little over exaggerated here. But just so we get a little bit of looseness in the face, and let's kind of see how that plays. Alright. And maybe less in jaw too. It feels a little over the top. Okay, just so we get a little bit in there. And let's look at those eyebrows as well. They're a little stiff. Everything else has a little bit of movement through there. So go ahead and bring it down there a little bit. And then back up. And back down a little bit. And we'll hold them up there for a pause here. Still feel like they're totally locked off here, so let's just try and give them a little bit of movement there. Just so they're not completely held so much. At this point, maybe we'll... Oh, wrong one. Let's get those lower lids down a little bit more. This one as well. Not quite so much. Yeah, we'll keep them open for a few more frames there. Maybe we'll raise that up a little bit more. Those eyes on him a little bit more. So we've got that one. Keep him focused there. Focused on him there. All the way through to about here. Too much about this stuff there. But let's try and get in there a little bit more. So let's keep the eyes closed up until about there. Those eyes there. Get them open there. We're going to need to get the actual eye up a little bit higher there, or maybe lower so we can actually see it here. Those lids a little bit lower there. That's too high up. Alright, let's look at those lids again. Just kind of a jump there. Those eyes going again. Oh, actually, I think I have a blink built in there, if I remember correctly. Okay. So at this point, we want to get out of there. Let's get those eyes maybe open a little bit more. Looking at the wrong one. There we go. It's fine. Hold on a second. I'm just going to stick with this for right now. That movement's a little too jumpy for me to track with just looking at the head. For trying to track where the eyes are going. Okay. So let's just look here. And sometimes it helps, but sometimes it's easier just to go this way. So I got them looking straight on. Where are those eyes again? There. Okay, and make sure that he's looking right at those feet if we can get that. There we go. I don't know why this got off here. Let's make sure that that stays where it's supposed to be. We'll push it back a little bit further here. So hopefully we can see that other eye a little bit better. Oh well. It's okay for now. It's not perfect. Go a little bit lower than where it's supposed to be. That's fine. I'll go from there. Yeah, let's have the corners of the mouth go a frame or so before that. Maybe have them go a little bit further out here as well. And I think I want to delay the mouth move, maybe one more frame here. And then have just the rotate X, Y, and Z go a frame sooner. Okay, that works there. Got him tracking through there. I think I'm going to do eyes closed for a frame and then have them reopen there too. Where'd the eye controller go? So right here, have it follow through there, set that. We'll close them up. Hold on. that's where I want to be at 194, so let's make sure we get that. But we'll close them up here. There. And then get 2 there a little bit quicker, so it's kind of a slow look. And maybe we'll do a little bit of drag in the jaw here. Up. Down. Up. Down. Up. And it's probably a little over exaggerated, so we'll tone that down a little bit more. And taper it off a little bit better too. Another thing I think I want to do during that portion is drag the jaw a little bit here, so have it swing over that way. It'll recoil back, and there. Maybe we'd give ourselves about 2 more frames before it got there. Okay, and we'll do a little bit in the cheeks as well. So we'll go down a little bit, up a little bit, down a little bit, up a little bit, and down. So we get a little bit of looseness in those cheeks as well. Again, we'll kind of taper that off a little bit more. Let's see how it feels. Get rid of that last little move. So let's just look there at that settle. And let's also do a little bit of go a frame after. We'll puff it in. Get a little bit of that squash and stretch there. Okay, and again, we'll do less of that. We don't need that much. But we'll do a little bit here. And let's see how it feels there. Okay, I think that works. Again, it's always easier to do facial expression stuff when it's not moving through a big action at the same time, so get those little bit of quieter moments. And let's also go and do a little bit of lower lip here. And do it a little bit later. Just so that lip's a little bit looser too. And again, we don't need a lot of that, just a little bit to loosen up that face towards the end here. And let's kind of look through that. Alright, I think that works. And we're pretty close to our time. So we got a kind of a breakdown pass on everything on the faces of both characters. Again, they're not fully fleshed out in any way, shape, or form, but there's a little more of a breakdown there. We just mixed up some of the movements a little bit more. And again, it's not something, especially from the camera angle that we're really shooting this at, that we're going to be able to see too much, but it's always fun to get in there and play around with facial expressions and get some fun stuff out of there. So let's do a play blast, watch our shot one more time, and we'll wrap up. Okay, so we were looking at the wonderful work of Anthony Jones, and he said, don't expect your studies to be amazing. If it's easy, then you're studying wrong. So definitely go out there and take a big bite into things that are difficult for you and take another step in your journey towards mastering whatever medium it is that you're passionate about. Thanks for sharing some time with me. I think we'll do maybe 2 more days on this shot because I feel like above and beyond that, we're just going to get into real intricacy polishing stuff that I don't know is going to translate so well into video, but I think I want to do another pass where we throw a couple more background characters and maybe a couple more props, some extra like swords or axes sticking out of the ground or something, just to mix up the layout a little bit more. But I think we'll probably kind of move on from there because I'm finally thinking I know where I want to go with our doing a lip sync shot together. So thanks for hanging out with me. I love you guys lots. I think you're amazing. Thanks for all the likes and subscribes, and I think we'll wrap it up before I ramble on for too long. So keep being awesome, and we will see you for some more animation, some more imagination, some more creativity, and just overall frivolity and fun tomorrow.